The Dynamo Moscow Boxing Academy echoed with the familiar rhythm of heavy bags thumping and sharp Russian commands cutting through the air. It was April 12, 2017, when the world's top amateur boxing coaches gathered for the International Sparring Summit. And among the towering heavyweights and muscular light heavies stood Carlo Santos, a 24-year-old Filipino boxer from Baguio City, Philippines. At 5'10" and a lean 175 pounds, Carlo's wiry muscles had been honed by mountain runs and high-altitude training, his dark cropped hair framing deep brown eyes focused with quiet determination, his golden brown skin glistening under the gym lights as he wore simple black Everlast trunks, white tank top, and red hand wraps bought from Divisoria market stalls. Viktor Ivanov, the legendary Russian coach who was 58 years old, 6'2", and carried a broad 220-pound frame with silver hair buzzed in military style, approached with the aura of Soviet boxing dominance that had produced 3 Olympic gold medalists. His piercing blue eyes scanned Carlo up and down with clear skepticism before he spoke in his thick accent. "Filipino? What division? Light welterweight, maybe?" Carlo extended his gloved hand confidently. "Cruiserweight, coach." Carlo Santos, Philippines national team. Victor let out a hearty laugh that drew attention from 20 international boxers and coaches around the gym. "Cruiserweight? At 175 pounds, this is not Manila street fighting. Cruiserweights start at 200 pounds minimum. You are child among giants here." Carlo's cornerman, Coach Danny from Baguio, shifted uncomfortably as Russian boxers snickered and an American coach muttered about the criminal reach disadvantage. Victor circled Carlo slowly, assessing him like a specimen. Boxing science is clear and simple. Size determines power generation. Filipino speed works fine at flyweight, maybe featherweight division. Cruiserweight impossible against proper heavyweights. Physics doesn't lie to anyone. Sparring partners gathered closer while cameras from Ring magazine and Boxing Scene filmed the exchange. And Carlo felt the familiar weight of doubt he'd carried since age 12, when local coaches said he was too small for the national team, too light for SEA Games competition, too Filipino for the world stage entirely. But Carlo met Victor's eyes with calm resolve and responded, "Coach Ivanov, with respect, Filipino boxing studies angles, not just raw power. Panantukan, dirty boxing techniques, developed against larger Spanish soldiers and Japanese occupiers. Size was never our advantage, but adaptation always was." Victor smirked with the confidence of decades in the ring. "Nice theory from history books. Show me practice tomorrow." Spar my best cruiserweight prospect, Dmitry Volkov, 6'3", 215 pounds, undefeated European champion with knockout power in both hands. Carlo nodded without hesitation. "Agreed. Full cruiserweight rules, standard gloves." Victor extended his massive hand firmly. Deal made. They shared as cameras captured the moment that would go viral months later. That night in their modest Moscow hotel room, Carlo called Coach Danny over steaming plates of adobo and rice. "We've trained exactly for this moment. Baguio's 1,500-meter altitude built lungs processing 30% more oxygen than sea level. Barangay boxing taught us angles that larger opponents never see coming." 5 months passed quickly. September 2017 arrived at the European Amateur Boxing Championships in Sofia, Bulgaria, where Carlo qualified through SEA Games gold, while Dmitry Volkov dominated his bracket, knocking out 3 opponents brutally. Victor arrived with his full Russian team, supremely confident as media previewed the mismatch. David versus Goliath, Pinoy challenger versus Russian giant headlines everywhere. What Victor didn't know was Carlo's secret preparation. Baguio altitude training built unmatched endurance. Panantukan drills perfected slipping inside larger opponents' reach. And barangay boxing experience taught reading telegraphing punches that heavyweights always throw predictably. Carlo arrived in Sofia leaner and sharper at 172 pounds, veins visible across his arms, eyes laser-focused, as Coach Danny carried their ancestral balisong folded carefully in luggage, as symbol of Filipino warrior heritage passed down generations. Quarterfinals night arrived with the arena packed with 8,000 fans, while International Boxing Association officials sat ringside. The ring announcer's voice boomed. From Russia, Dmitry Volkov. From Philippines, Carlo Santos. Dmitry towered at 6'3" and 215 pounds, shaved head gleaming, scarred knuckles visible, red trunks crisp. Carlo bounced lightly on his toes, shadowboxing in visible angles. Round 1 bell rang, and Dmitry advanced aggressively with stiff jabs, while Carlo slipped outside the jab trajectory, circled counterclockwise patiently. Dmitry's massive right hand whistled through empty air repeatedly. Round 3 began with Dmitry clearly frustrated, swinging wildly with power shots, while Carlo read the telegraphing right hand perfectly, slipped inside smoothly, and unleashed an elbow disguised as a legal hook that snapped across Dmitry's jaw viciously. Panantukan technique executed flawlessly within boxing rules. Dmitry's knees buckled momentarily as Viktor screamed from the corner in disbelief. "What is this circus fighting nonsense?" The referee issued only a light clinch warning while Carlo smiled inwardly, knowing Russian power was fading fast, but Filipino endurance only rising higher. Round 4 proved decisive as Dmitry gassed completely from chasing shadows relentlessly, while Carlo changed rhythm suddenly, feinting low, then slipping high to land a perfectly timed straight right to the chin that rocked the giant backward. Carlo followed instantly with the bolo punch, that ancient Filipino upward hook developed from sugarcane field labor centuries ago, crashing perfectly against Dmitry's temple with sickening impact. Dmitry crashed face first to the canvas as the referee counted methodically to 10, while the arena erupted in absolute pandemonium. Carlo raised his glove respectfully toward his fallen opponent as Bulgarian fans chanted his name in awe. Post-fight interviews revealed Carlo's secret weapons clearly. Panantukan developed 400 years ago, fighting conquistadors twice our size. We learned fighting inside their reach, using their momentum against them. Baguio altitude training builds endurance heavyweights simply cannot match. Barangay boxing teaches reading, telegraphing punches. Larger opponents always throw predictably. Viktor approached Carlo ringside afterward, extending hand genuinely. Filipino boxing follows different philosophy entirely. Respectable approach. Dmitry never faced angles executed like yours before. Sports science teams measured later. Carlo threw 180 punches to Dmitry's mere 112 total, landing 68% accuracy versus 42%, while his heart rate stayed steady at 145 BPM against Dmitry's peak 172 BPM exhaustion. Semi-finals saw Carlo dismantle the Swedish boxer via 3-0 unanimous decision, while finals delivered upset TKO victory over undefeated Ukrainian in the 5th round. Carlo claimed European Championships gold, first Filipino cruiserweight champion ever accomplished. BoxRec rankings vaulted Carlo to number 7 world amateur instantly, while ESPN declared, "Pinoy physics, how size stopped mattering in boxing forever." Viktor personally invited Carlo to Moscow training camp afterward, requesting sincerely, "Teach Russian team your slipping angles and endurance methods." Carlo accepted graciously, blending Panantukan dirty boxing principles with traditional Soviet power training methodologies successfully. Major boxing sponsors offered lucrative deals, while Carlo opened his Baguio Academy teaching Filipino fight science to young barrio kids. Enrollments tripled overnight as word spread rapidly. Filipino boxing proves technique transcends basic physics every single time. What Russians dismissed as too small actually represented evolutionary advantage, refined over centuries against larger colonial foes. Carlo demonstrated clearly how heart, strategy, and cultural heritage triumph over mere physical size advantages consistently. Viktor reflected afterward. True champions rewrite the established rules themselves. Carlo replied simply yet profoundly, "We just fight smarter, always have." The Moscow gym that once echoed with laughter at the small Filipino now resonated with respect earned through fists, angles, and unbreakable Pinoy spirit that shocked the entire boxing world forever.